somewhere anyway. So let's start with the instructions, and thank you for giving me this opportunity, and seek your blessings in trying to bring out some of the best of the instructions from the canto that we've just finished. And I really want to congratulate all of you for staying with up to Canto 8. I'm about to embark on Canto 9. This is amazing, amazing journey that we've all been on. And thanks to Navi and everyone for making this journey quite an interesting one. So here is, Radha Krishna, Panch Tattva, and then Guru Parampara and the 6 Goswamis. So take their guidance and their blessings as well to deliver this. Okay, so we start with the Mangacharam. So I've done this PowerPoint slide my usual way. So as I go through the instructions, so we'll start with Mangacharam. So Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshuran Miltam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurue Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahana Lalita Shri Vishakhavitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namoste Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyayavacha Patita Nam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Chaitanya Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Jai Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshuram. So I was reading this before we start. This is a quick kind of mind-boggling thing. So I'll share it with you as I was listening to and reading the Upanishad. So I don't know if you can work this out, and I'm trying to sort of figure out. So I'll share it with you very quickly, and now I'll go into the instructions. So this previous Upanishad it said, imperfection cannot come from perfection, and vice versa. That means perfection cannot come out of imperfection. Something that is complete, yet it's incomplete. And then something is incomplete, but yet it is complete. And then absolutely complete is yet absolutely incomplete. And then absolutely incomplete, yet absolutely complete. So just trying to understand this and to resolve this. Does it make any sense to any of you? And I can give you simple examples at later on or at the end or something, But the resolution is only when you understand that it's in the absolute truth, which is Krishna actually. Krishna is the absolute truth. And when you try to understand this, you'll see that absolutely complete that means absolutely complete only when the absolute incomplete is absolutely complete if only connected to the absolute incomplete. That was a bit mind-boggling.
Yeah, well done. Well explained.
And I'll give you an example. It's like Prabhupada gives an example and says, it's like the hand in your body. The hand is complete in itself, and it does a complete job that it has function to do. And then the body is also complete. But the hand, when disconnected, is incomplete and it is of no use. It becomes useless. So it's incomplete, but only when it's connected to the body that it is complete. So you try to understand, and as jivas, we are also like that incomplete hand but only when we are connected to Krishna, who is the absolute complete. It's just a bit mind-boggling. Anyway, let's move forward.
It's a little bit like this material world, which is perfectly imperfect. It is so imperfect that it's perfect.
Yeah, that's right. And then everything is, Krishna is so complete that he is actually incomplete without his complete. It gets, yeah. Very nice. Canto 8. Okay, so we'll go into the instructions quickly. And it's a long chapter as well, and then I'll try and go through this and complete this as quickly as I can. So the instructions, Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th canto, we can see the picture here of Vamandev, and that's the pastime that comes in this canto. Was that, Riyan?
Kashyapamuni, Aditi, they all were rejoicing.
That's right, yeah. So this is the picture of Kashyapa Muni and Aditi and Vamandev appears in front of them. And describe Vamandev, Riyansh. What's he got in his hand? And he's like a little who? Look, little who? He is a like I was saying just now, he is a perfectly what? Or who?
Brahman.
He perfectly Brahman boy. He came as a Brahman boy to do the yagya of Bali Maharaj. So he's dressed up as a complete act in a Brahman, but he's complete in the sense that he's the Supreme Lord. And he's going to do a perfect part of a perfect Brahman boy. And he may appear dwarf. This other picture of the front of Srimad Bhagavatam is of Lord.
I can describe this, Prabhuji. This
yeah, go on.
So while they were chanting, a poison came named Hala Hala. So it was affecting all the universes. So everyone was saying. So all went to Lord Shiva and breathed. And Vishnu also told you have to protect us. So Lord Shiva went there and drank the all poison which was coming from the mountain, and some small drops of the poison was falling on the ground. That's why some poisonous snakes like that they are formed.
Yeah, there's poisonous serpent snakes. Okay, so as we go into this canto, this is only just the introductory chapter. It's like the Manus, the administrators, how the elephant Gajendra and the Gajendra's pairs, how he surrenders. So these sort of contents will be there in this canto. So I'll just start you off. But this picture, can somebody explain to me? This is amazing because we start off looking at life of Brahma. And
I can't explain this, Prabhuji.
Go on.
I can't explain, Prabhuji.
Oh, you can't explain. Okay, let me explain.
I can't understand life of Brahma.
Okay, let's see then. This is a short version. So quickly, okay. Life of Brahma is from here, from the creation to the full devastation. That is the full life of Brahma, which is like, 36,000 kalpas or days of Brahma. So this is like one day of Brahma where my arrow is. And in that one day of Brahma, there will be one kalpa. Okay, that is called one kalpa. And that lasts for 432 billion years. And there are 14 manvantaras. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there'll be 14 there from night to night, right? So that makes a day, you see, from one night to the night is a day. And in that day, there'll be 14 manvantras, and in one manvantara, there'll be 471 divya yugas. So in that one divya yuga, there is 4 yugas: Satyug, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and Kali Yuga. This is a quick kind of start off with what a day of Brahma is like, you know. So because we start with Brahma, we'll try and finish off with the day of Brahma later on in the Canto, okay? So quickly, I'll go through some of the instructions. Chapter 1, they say the duty of the demigod is to protect the authority of the Vedas. The way that the word devatas refer to one who carries the authority of the Vedas, whereas Rakshasas are those who defy the Vedic authority. If the authority of the Vedas is lost, the entire universe becomes chaotic. Therefore, it is the duty of the demigod as well as kings and aides of government to fully protect, give full protection to the Vedic authority. Otherwise, human society will be a chaotic condition in which there cannot be peace or prosperity. So it's true, you know, that the governments or wherever there is possible. I was just reading about an incident in India. It's a case going on in Madras. It's been going on for years and years. How one particular area was dominated predominantly Hindu, 95% people were Hindus there. For thousands of years, they've been carrying out this particular ceremony, Hindu ceremony for 3-day festival, like we have festivals. So they're celebrating this festival, and they've been doing this for so many years. And this particular part of the land actually belongs to the panchayat, or it's declared as a common land where everybody can carry out these festivals. Now, over the years, what's happened is that the population shift has taken place, and now there are more, 46% or so is Muslims now. So they started to demand that you can't have these festivals here. You shouldn't be able to, it's against our religion. When I hear these festivals, it is sin to us. This sound vibration actually is sin to us. We shouldn't be hearing this according to our religion. So now this is a matter that's gone to the court, and they're all questioning whether this is a secular subject matter or what. I don't know. So the government has to decide what should happen to the land. Or should we not be allowed? So today you're saying you can't have a festival, tomorrow saying you can't have any more children here. And then you will say you can't pass through here because you are Hindus, you're walking by in our area. So it starts off like that, small. So this is a big dilemma for many people. Chapter 2, thus while the elephant becomes reduced in strength, the crocodile becomes more and more powerful. This is relating to the Gajendra story. Now from this we can take a lesson that in our fight with Maya, we should not be in a position in which our strength, enthusiasm, and senses will be unable to fight vigorously. So we have to be strong enough to fight. Our Krishna conscious movement has actually declared war against the illusory energy, in which all the living entities are rotting in a false understanding of civilization. The soldiers in the Krishna conscious movement must always possess physical strength, enthusiasm, and sensual power. To keep themselves fit, they must therefore place themselves in a normal condition of life. What constitutes a normal condition will not be the same for everyone, and therefore there is the divisions of varnashrams, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, Brahmachari, Grihastha, etc. So we have to remain very strong physically, mentally, our strength, and also financially. So we have to keep ourselves strong. It's a big, strong fight against Maya. It's not easy. So chapter 3 then, in a dangerous situation Gajendra found himself in, by providence, he could remember some stotras, prayers from his previous life by causeless mercy of the Lord. So by the mercy of the Lord, if we are able to remember some mantras or some prayer that can save us, like Gajendra's situation. So in the purport, Prabhupada explains that it is imperative, therefore, that all devotees in Krishna consciousness practice chanting some mantra. Certainly one should chant the Hare Krishna mantra, which is the Maha Mantra or the great mantra. And also one should practice chanting Chintamani, Prakara Sadmasu, or a Narsimha Stotra, Ito Narsimho, Parato Narsimho, Yato Yato Yamitato Narsimho. Some prayers like that you should always remember, and pray like that. Every devotee should practice in order to chant some mantra perfectly, so that even though we started off with this, that's why I said, even though he may be imperfect in spiritual consciousness in this life, in this next life, he will not forget Krishna consciousness. So the mantras are perfect. We may be imperfect, but their Krishna consciousness is perfect. And so when we're connected in that way, of course, the devotee should try to perfect his Krishna consciousness in this life. So there we are, this imperfect and perfect situation here, which you can try and resolve that somehow. To be extremely opulent in materialistic advancement is sometimes very risky. A materially opulent person does not care about anyone, and thus he commits offenses to great personalities such as devotees and great saints. So you can see that when people become more opulently or materially, or just even just as I said, their population increases, they become more powerful, they become arrogant and all that, and then they start to declare and start offending the other people. Like in this village in India, I was listening to it. So there's a case in Madras court. He's just crazy like that. So, but anyway, this is the picture of Gajendra, and he prays to the Supreme Lord, and Vishnu comes on Garuda and saves him. And obviously there is history behind it. Previously, in their previous life, there were different personalities. One was a very opulent
King Huhu and Indradyumna.
go on, Ryan. Riyansh, you clarified. Indradyumna and
King Huhu, the
King
Gandharva king.
Huhu. Well done, well done. Well, you can explain, you can say more if you want. Who did they become afterwards then?
Can I tell a story of Gajendra first and then Huhu?
Yeah, quickly, yes, go on.
So once Indradyumna Maharaj went into tapasya to meditate. That time Agastya came with his disciples. So, but then King Indradyumna was in meditation, so he could not understand Agastya Muni came. So he was sat in meditation. When Agastya Muni saw this, he became very angry and he cursed Gajendra to he cursed Indradyumna Maharaj to become an elephant. So that's how Indradyumna Maharaj became the elephant Gajendra. And next, King Huhu. So once there was a Gandharva named King Huhu. So he had many wives. So one day with his wives, he was enjoying in heavenly planets. That time, Devala Rishi came to where King Huhu and his wives were enjoying. So Devala Rishi took a meditation. So was taking 3 dips in the waters. Then King Huhu who want to make his wife so happy, so he went into the water and pulled Devala Rishi's leg. Then Devala Rishi saw this and he cursed King Huhu to be a crocodile because you are underwater, so you will become a crocodile.
Thank you, Riyaz.
Well
Very
done.
wonderful. Well done. You remembered King Huhu and Lorinda. Oh, amazing. You're wonderful, actually. It's very nice that at young age you're listening to all these stories, and they will stay with you, and you'll be able to tell those stories in nice ways in the future. And then obviously Lord Vishnu comes, and then these two personalities come out with the crocodile from the previous year and restored the spiritual body, and goes back. Gajendra goes back to the spiritual world. Very nice. Thank you. So that's Gajendra's pastimes there. So chapter 4, how fortunate was Gajendra, who was favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead by having his gross body touched by the Lord, and his body turns into a spiritual body, and he can go back home, back to Godhead. Gajendra assumed a spiritual body when his body was touched by the Lord. This is Lord's causeless mercy. So you can see how fortunate he was. Srila Prabhupada instructs in the purport that not only by touching the body of a of the Supreme Lord, but by simply by hearing about his pastimes, chanting his glories, touching his feet, and offering worship. In other words, by serving the Lord somehow or the other, one is purified of material contamination. So very nice to hear about Gajendra from Riyansh as well. So we are so fortunate actually that we're at least some material contamination will be purified, hopefully. The curse Gajendra received was indirectly a benediction. So he was cursed, but that was an indirectly a benediction. To be extremely opulent by materialistic advancement is sometimes very risky. I just repeated this. He committed offense to, okay, let's move. In the purport, then, Prabhupada gives an example of the incidents between Lord Indra and Durvasa Muni's garland. I think something happened where Durvasa Muni, Lord Indra had actually offended and put the garland on the goat or something like that. So the demigods actually lost all opulences as a result of that kind of one simple incident, and seeking opulences. So, if we are looking for any kind of opulences or anything like that, well, we may be seeking in some ways, in subtle ways, we don't know. But the individual souls are proprietors of their individual bodies. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the proprietor of all bodies. So I may own my own body, but I'm not actually, I don't own it actually, really. It just keeps changing, gets older and gets more and more difficult, and one day I want to leave. So I don't really own it. I'm not a proprietor of my own body, but the Lord is the proprietor of everybody's body. He is the witness to everyone's body. Nothing is unknown to him. He knows what I'm going through actually, and also, so he knows what we need. Our duty, therefore, is to execute devotional service sincerely under the direction of a spiritual master. Krishna, by his grace, will supply whatever we need in executing our devotional service. So we'll get whatever we will deserve. And in Krishna conscious movement, we simply have to execute the order. All necessities will be supplied by Krishna, even if we do not ask for them sometimes. So even we can see sometimes Bali Maharaj later on, even he didn't ask for any, but he got greater opulences in Sutala. Later on, we'll see that. Anyway, so this is a picture, which is where the demigods, they call a truce, peace between the demigods and the demons, and they were trying to carry this mountain. They were told to, the demigods obviously went to Narayan, and he said, for now, the time and circumstances are not favorable, so you should call a bit of a truce, let the demons have their way for now, but you go and carry out this churning of the ocean. So that's what we'll come to next, and this is where we'll go into. So this is a picture now. This actually led to the churning of the ocean. And here, this picture then tells a lot of things about the different incarnations that took place.
First is Dhanvantari, second is
Kurma. Kurma is here, yeah, Kurma.
Dhanvantari is top.
On the top, who is that? On the top of the mountain here. Vishnu. And then there was somebody who was helping demigods pull the Ajita.
What is the name of and Lord Vishnu appeared in the size of demons also in the mode of passion.
Yeah, you can see these different things that came out of the ocean along
Mohini came, Mohini also.
Yeah, and there's a cow that came, Surabhi, the elephant, the horse.
Uchitava, 8 male horses, 8 female horses. Lakshmi, then Kaustubhajam.
Yeah, that's what the result of churning. Surabhi cow, yeah. And this mountain, and what's the name of this snake that they used to
Vasuki as a rope.
Yeah, I do remember Vasuki. So that's the churning of the ocean that took place. Thank you
The
very much.
demigods fooled the demons. They took the demigods took the side of tail and the demons took the side of head of Vasuki. So they were all burning by the
That's right.
heat
Yeah,
of
I mean, that's interesting as well. I'm glad you point that out, Rian, because the demons think that, oh, why should we go for the tail? They were proud, that shows their arrogance a bit and the pride. They wanted to go for the head. Nice that you pointed that out. Thank you, Rian. Well done. So we'll move on. Chapter 6, then, in this verse, Lord Brahma is saying that I, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and all the demigods, accompanied by the Prajapatis like Daksha, are nothing but sparks illuminated by you, who are the original fire. So it's a bit like that, perfect, imperfect thing I was talking about, that the original fire is the Supreme Lord, and then all the other living entities are nothing but sparks illuminating. Srila Prabhupada in the purport explains that sparks are beautiful as long as they are in the fire. So that's why I said, earlier on, that the sparks are only beautiful as long as they're near a fire, and once they're gone, the illumination is gone. Similarly, we have to remain in the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and always engage in the devotional service. But then we should always be brilliant and illuminating. As soon as we fall from the service of the Lord, our brilliance and illumination will immediately extinguish, or at least stop for some time. So just like the hand, I give you the other example of a fire, that the fire is complete, and from fire emanates everything: heat, light, sparks, sound. We can feel the heat as well. So the heat in our body is indirectly connected to that fire. But as long as we're near there, but as soon as you go far away from the light, we start to feel the cold, don't we? But anyway, we get extinguished. So by constantly chanting, we will remain in Lord's association. Sometimes time and circumstances may not be so favorable, and the Supreme Lord will advise the demigods, it's in Srimad Bhagavatam, or demigods, fulfilling one's own interest is so important that one may even have to make a truce with one's enemies. For the sake of one's interest, one has to act according to the logic of the snake and the mouse. I think I gave the example, Prabhupada gives the example in the purport about the snake and the mouse. They were both trapped inside a basket. And then the snake can say, oh, I'd like to eat this mouse, but if I eat it, then I'll still be trapped in the basket. So I think I better call it a truce with the mouse. Time and circumstances not so favorable. We're trapped here both. So I think, I'll ask the mouse, why don't you make a hole in this basket and we'll both be able to get out? And then he thinks, as soon as he makes a hole, I'll eat the mouse. But the mouse thinks, as soon as I make the hole, I'm going to run for it. So it depends who wins. Anyway, my dear demigods, with patience and peace, everything can be done. But if one is agitated by anger, the goal is not achieved. Therefore, whatever the demons ask, agree to their proposal. So this is when they were actually making a bit of a truce. All over the universes, there are two parties, the Vishnu party and the God conscious parties, or the godless parties. The godless party is never happy or victorious, but the God conscious party is always happy and victorious. So like I give you the example, that there'll be some parties coming and they try to take over, go against the Vedic principles sometimes, and to give into that. So that is the picture of Dhanvantari, who came out with the nectar. And as we move on from this, the nectar was immediately snatched by the demons from the hand of Dhanvantari, which is amazing. And then from there, the nectar gets distributed. So in this churning of the ocean, we should understand the choices made by the demigods. So this is when Rianch was saying, very importantly pointed out, that the demons went for the mouth and the demigods ended up with the tail end of Vasuki. But Srila Prabhupada clarifies this more importantly, that the Daityas must always do the opposite of the demigods. That is their nature. We're actually seen in this in relation to Krishna conscious movement. We advocate cow protection and encourage people to drink more milk and eat palatable preparation made of milk. But the demons always protest and proposals like claiming that, according to our scientific knowledge, and as described here by the word Swadhyaya Shruta Sampana. They say, according to scientific knowledge, milk is dangerous, actually. Beef is better in the milk. So killing cows is more nutritious. So they just take the opposite view all the time, So we should be careful that, we don't get trapped on their side, actually. That is the main instruction, that we don't want to end up in there. So this is Mohini, comes with the nectar, and then she entices the demons, and they get cheated or not fooled by a little bit by Mohini, and the demons don't really get the nectar, but meanwhile she's distributing the nectar to the demigod. But there was one demon who had actually sneaked into the demon side. Do you know who that was?
Rahu.
Yeah, well, he became Rahu afterwards, after he got his head chopped off. But it was, I forget the name as well, one of the demons that went on that side and pretended to be demigod. And then, do you know the headless body? What is that called? Rahu and Ketu. So these are two. Rahu and Ketu, yeah. So they influence. So this is another picture, actually. So we're not going to go into that. Chapter 8, if one wants the favor of the goddess of fortune, Mother Lakshmi, because she is by nature Bhagavat Para, one must keep her with Narayan. The devotees who always engage in the service of Narayan, Narayan Parayan, can easily achieve the favor of the goddess of fortune without a doubt. But materialists who try to get the favor of goddess of fortune only to possess her for personal enjoyment, they'll get frustrated. So theirs is not a good policy. The celebrated demon Ravan, for example, wanted to deprive Ramchandra of Lakshmi, Sita, and thus be victorious, but the result was just the opposite. So you try to enjoy just Lakshmi on its own, but while we use it in the service of Narayan, then she is happy as well, and it stays with the devotees. So we should use our whatever Lakshmi that we can get, we get in our life, use it. That's our fortune. Chapter 9, sometimes an incarnation of the Supreme Lord cheats the atheists. So sometimes the atheists get fooled and cheated by the Supreme Lord, and sometimes the Lord has to do that, just like Mohini had to do that. The demons would have just caused havoc more if they had got the nectar. They defy the Vedic principles, they work against the Supreme Lord, they harass the devotees. And if they got more power, they would just be doing more and more. So sometimes Lord has to come as Mohini, he did, and he's kind of distracted them with the beauty of Mohini, and it cheated them out of their nectar, really. And they worked hard for it, actually. When Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport, the fighting between the demon and demigods is perpetual. So this fighting between the demons, demigods, godless or God-loving, whatever we call it, it cannot be stopped unless intelligent persons on both sides take to Krishna consciousness. So we see on the news now as well how, situation getting worse in some areas. They start throwing stones at each other, and then it comes to throwing bombs at each other, and they're never peaceful. So even the situation in latest in Israel, in Palestine, and all that, and then they try to blame and drag India into it, and all the Muslims. So that become political. But this is always perpetually, always just goes on. It seems this is the situation in the material creation forever. And only individually we have to be intelligent and become Krishna conscious and stop the wars within and just go back home. So we're going to be just trapped in this situation between the demigods and demons. and we should just best use our intelligence and try to become Krishna conscious as much as we can and just go back. This is not place for us. We like fish out of water. Chapter 12, Lord Shiva is inquiring from the Lord, "Oh Lord, I, who am considered to be the best of the demigods, and Lord Brahma and the great rishis headed by Marichi, are born in the mode of goodness. Nonetheless, we are bewildered by your illusory energy, cannot understand what this creation is. Aside from us, what is to be said of others like the demons and humans?" So even Lord Shiva sometimes cannot understand the Supreme Lord, and Lord Brahma as well. So aside from us, so what is human beings who are in the base modes of material nature, Rajo, Tamo, and all these gunas. So how will they know? So Lord Shiva is even asking the Lord that how will these human beings try to understand it? So there are so many philosophers trying to understand the absolute truth. So we started off talking about the absolute truth thing, complete, is it complete or incomplete? But since they are situated in the base qualities of material nature and are addicted to so many bad habits, like drinking, meat eating, illicit sex, gambling, how can they conceive of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? For them, it is impossible. For the present day, the Panchatrika Vidhi are initiated by Narad Muni is only hope. So this process by Narad Muni, and so we are being instructed to understand this vidhi, this process. So Krishna consciousness is a process, like deity worship and how to offer prasad and eat prasad. And Lord Shiva later clarifies that when I finished performing mystic yoga for 1,000 years, you asked me upon whom I was meditating. Now, here is that supreme person to whom time has no entrance and who the Vedas cannot understand. So there we are. We'll talk about the Vedas later on, what happens to the Vedas at one point. But anyway, this is where Lord Shiva says that he meditates upon the Supreme Lord. Chapter 30. In this chapter, we instructed by Sukadeva Goswami, the present Manu, who is named as Shraddhadev, is the son of Vivaswan, the predominating deity of the sun planet. Shraddhadev is the seventh Manu. So now you can see why I had that slide in the beginning, showing where one Manu is. We are in the seventh Manu, and Shraddhadev is the predominating deity. The son Vivaswan is, but Shraddhadev is the seventh Manu in that. So in that one Manu, the yugas. Vedic Shastras predict future Manus also. 14th in a kalpa. So like I said, one day of Brahma. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Imam vivasvate yogam, proktavan aham avyayam, vivaswan manave praha, manurikshvakave abravit. I instructed in the science of yoga to the sun god Vivaswan, and Vivaswan instructed to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed to Ikshvaku. So even Krishna is referring to this Manu and who the Manus were. Ikshvaku, there's history. This is all in the Bhagavad Gita. Kaya Praviti. Yes, Riyansh, you can say that verse, Sanskrit. So as Krishna says it to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, that he instructed science to Vivaswan previously. So here, this picture, again, it's Aditi. Aditi, Lord Vishnu is...
Lord Vishnu appeared when in Aditi's home. Everything became like a brilliant sun. Whole the brilliant sun would come in the morning. How much light it would come when Lord Vishnu came to Aditi's home. That much light, effulgence was coming.
Yeah, and what did Aditi wanted actually? The Lord could understand her desire. She wanted, what did she want actually?
She wanted her sons to win because the demons have become more powerful.
Yeah, the demons had become more powerful, and then the demons were all in hiding, and so she was a bit concerned about them. she wanted to rescue them or give protection or some solution to it. But the solution is always with Lord, with Krishna. So here he comes as Vishnu and then says, I'll come as your son. And then she has to do what her husband recommends, and that was Kashyapa Muni. What did he recommend Aditi to do? This some
Some ceremony.
Yeah,
What ceremony he told?
Well done. So then the Supreme Lord agrees to become Aditi's son. Yeah. Okay, 14. So as devotees, we are instructed to accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he is and remain happy simply by chanting his glories. Krishna manages the material universe in a systematic way and appears to establish Sanatana Dharma through parampara. So there, everything is working systematically in that chapter. Srila Prabhupada explains that, Brahaspati informed Indra that Bali Maharaj's prowess was not his own, but that of his exalted Guru Sukracharya. So here, this instruction is a bit about Brihaspati informing Indra how Bali Maharaj was so powerful and strong. Like you just said, the demons had become so powerful and the demigods were in hiding, but their prowess was just because of the position of that Guru, Sukracharya, that Bali had become so strong. So it's actually Guru doing, giving them the Brahminical sort of the guidance power, and Bali becomes so strong. So we sing in our daily prayers also the Yasya Prasada Bhagavad Prasada, Yasya Prasada Nagati Kutopi. So we should get our strength and all that from pleasing this. By the pleasure of the spiritual master, one can get extraordinary powers, especially in spiritual advancement. So if we want to become strong in our Krishna consciousness and remain fixed, the blessings and get some more blessings. So the blessings of the spiritual master are more powerful than one's own personal endeavor. So we should not, that's what Narottam Das Thakur says also, the Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Sitete Koriya Aikya, Arana Koriya Maneasa. So Guru Mukha, if we follow the instructions of spiritual master, then read and get instructions, get our intelligence strong, Bala, they say Balaram. So Balaram, we get our strength from worshipping Nityananda, take their blessings, and Lord Balaram as well. Especially for spiritual master, we want to carry out the bona fide order of the spiritual master. We must get bona fide order of the spiritual master, not just somebody says, oh, I think my guru said this. You don't do it like that. Or I think I heard, oh, the guru said this or that. Not concocted kind of instructions or orders. So we should also seek out a bona fide guru and his blessings for spiritual advancement. So we have to have a bona fide guru, get his bona fide orders, and then follow them, and then we'll become strong in our spiritual. One's aim should be to achieve liberation, because one cannot at once give up sense gratification. In the Shastras, there are injunctions prescribing how to follow the principles of religion, economic development, and sense gratification. As explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, Dharmasya he apavargasya nartho artha kalpate. All occupational engagement is certainly meant for ultimate liberation. They should never be performed for material gains. So whatever we should do, we should be, kama, artha, karma, moksha. So our actions should actually eventually lead us towards the path of liberation, not entanglement. When a person is favored by the Brahmins and Vaishnavas, no one can defeat him. Even the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not interfere when one is protected by a Brahmin. It is said, Go Brahmana Hitacha. The Lord's first inclination is to give all benediction to the cows and the Brahmins. Therefore, if Brahmins are favor someone, the Lord does not interfere, nor can anyone interfere with the happiness of such a person. So Prabhupada explains that when a devotee utters the translated name, it is not a material sound. Therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is naturally pleased. The devotee knows that the Lord is present everywhere and that one can please him simply by chanting his holy name. So when we say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So hopefully that's not a material sound, and then Krishna is pleased. Chapter 18, we should undergo transcendental appearance. We should understand transcendental appearance of Lord Vamandev, and Srila Prabhupada emphasizes that one must be very intelligent to understand the appearance and activities of the Supreme Lord in his incarnation. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tattvata. So Krishna's birth, appearance, incarnations are all transcendental. And we should, if we understand that, then that's Lord Vamandev, who is Lord Vishnu, has appeared as perfect brahmachari, gives a lot of instructions to Bali Maharaj. So Lord Vamandev gives a lot of instructions. Prabhupada also clarifies, if a sincere devotee wants Krishna above everything, then at the same time he attached to material possessions, which hinders his advancement in Krishna consciousness. By tactics, the Lord takes away all his possessions. So Krishna sometimes helps the devotees. If you are too attached, he knows they sincerely wants to make advance in Krishna consciousness, but then Krishna may take away certain impediments that might be in the way. He will understand what our impediments are. So sometimes that can happen in our life. And this is stated in Bhagavatam, that Yashaham Anugrahanani Harishya, this word Hari, Tad Dhamma Sane. The Lord said to Maharaj Yudhishthira, the first installment by my mercy towards the devotee is that I take away all his possession, especially his material opulences or his money. So sometimes we lose that money. I've had personal experience myself, where you suddenly start to lose certain thing and you think, well, maybe that's Krishna playing his way. So we may experience, as we make advancement in our bhakti, something we may experience. Although Bali Maharaj was a devotee, he was attached to material possessions, and therefore the Lord, being very kind to him, showed him special favors by appearing as Lord Vaman to take away all his material possessions and his mind as well. So sometimes even the mind needs to be taken away because the mentality is still there, you see. So it's just not about material possessions, the body or anything, but the mind. Srila Prabhupada comments, the opulences offered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead are not to be compared to the opulences obtained by karma kanda. In other words, if a devotee becomes very opulent, it is to be understood that his opulence is a gift of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such opulence will never be vanquished, whereas the opulence achieved by one's fruitive activities will be vanquished at any moment. So whatever Krishna gives, if he gives you opulence, take it, but that will be by the blessings of the Supreme Lord, and it'll be never vanquished. Chapter 21 then, Bali Maharaj instructed his followers that, O Viprachiti, O Rahu, O Nemi, please hear my words, don't fight, stop immediately, for the present time is not in our favor. So now the time is not in the favor of the demons now. You can see that now the tables have turned, and he's instructing his mates, because when Bali Maharaj, the Lord was arrested, Bali Maharaj was arrested, then all the demons started to fight. They wanted to just attack and saying, how can you do this to our Bali Maharaj? So now the tables have turned. And further, the supreme time factor, which represents the Supreme Person, was previously in our favor. Now it's not in the favor of the demigods, but the same factor is against us now. So times can change, circumstances may say every dog has his day. So you may know sometimes somebody may be in a happy situation, may change. At times we may have to realize when circumstances are not favorable. So yeah, due to time and circumstances. So here Lord Vamandev begs charity for Bali Maharaj, and then Bali Maharaj surrenders his life. He offers his head and his mind and everything. Supreme Personality of Godhead puts his third feet on the Bali Maharaj's head, and Vamandev takes over the whole universe. pierces the material covering of the universe as well. The Ganges flows. His toenails were amazing when Lord Brahma saw it, right up to the Brahmalok. So Vamandev stretched himself all the way up to Brahmalok and all the way down to the Patal and lower planetary systems and took over the whole universe. That's his strength. He can become bigger than the biggest, smaller than the smallest if he wants to. That's Krishna's. He's powerful. Yeah.
While Vaman increased his size, he broke the material universe shell.
That's right. Yeah, he broke the material universe covering, and then the milk ocean, some of that, from Garbha.
And from his feet, Ganga Devi came.
Yeah, that's right. Wonderful. Nice.
Again, other story came, Bhagirath story.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just nearly try and finish this. So Prabhupada comments in the purport, the opulence is offered by the Supreme Lord. I just covered this, I think. Yeah, let's move on. Maybe same instruction. And this I've covered this. Oh, good. Chapter 22, Sri Prabhupada comments, the Bali Maharaj took pleasure in understanding how the Lord will cheat his devotee to glorify the devotee's position. It is said that God is good, and that is a fact. Whether he cheats or rewards, he is always good. So ultimately, everything works out for the good, but it's God's plan or the Lord's plan. So Bali Maharaj also understood this, and he actually took pleasure in understanding that. He said, even my Guru Sukracharya is advising me, but I have to go along with what the Lord wants. From this, we should understand that everything ends up for our ultimate good. The Lord is so merciful, however, that although Bali Maharaj did not actually offer obeisances, but only endeavored to do so within his mind, the Supreme Personality of Godhead blessed him with more mercy than even the demigods could ever expect, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Swalpam apiyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bayar. Even a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. So even a little advancement in the spiritual path will be, protect us from any kind of dangerous situation that we may face in future, who knows. So, even Bali Maharaj actually, got more than what the demigods could ever expect. And Prahlad Maharaj also confirms this, that supreme shelter of everyone, great personalities like Brahma enjoys their perfection simply by tasting the honey of rendering service at your lotus feet. But as for us, we are all rogues and debauchees, born of envious family of demons. How have we received your mercy? It has been possible only because your mercy is causeless. And I did a session on this mercy, causeless mercy of the Supreme Lord. Perfect, Prahlad Maharaj is saying, we are born in demoniac family. My father was the leader of all the demons, Hiranyakashipu. And how have we managed to get into such a situation that we're offering some service at your lotus feet? So even Prahlad Maharaj is saying that. Prabhupada comments that the Kanishta Adhikari or neophyte devotee is therefore advised to visit temple every day, see the form of the Lord every day, and the neophyte devotee can be freed from the bondage of fruitive activities. So actually, this is their instruction and advice that we do something of spiritual activity every day, that whatever we can, if you're able to visit a temple. If not, just make your home a temple. If not, then make your heart your own temple. And in the heart, you do something for the Lord. So we started off by understanding a day of Brahma, and then the Srimad Bhagavatam says this. During the previous day of Brahma, that means in the previous kalpa, there was at its end an inundation, because of which all the existing worlds will be submerged, and Brahma felt sleepy, wanted to lie down to rest, and the Vedic knowledge, that's why I said we mentioned something about the Vedas later on. that the Vedas were going to be taken away by Hayagriva, who happened to be nearby, and it took it away. So Brahma fell asleep and the Vedas were going to be gone. So Lord had to do something about it, and he came as a Matsya avatar. So as the Lord, the fish incarnation. And there's a bit of a story to this as well, as one of the, somebody called Satyavrata, who was doing austerities by the river, and then a fish comes into his hand, and the fish, he throws it back, and then what happens to the fish when he throws it back? What happened then? Does anyone know? The fish said, "Why are you throwing me back in the river? The river is very dangerous." And so why don't you look after me?
First the king put the fish in a small bowl. Then it increased its size, and it was not suitable for the fish. Then the king threw the fish into a well, but it was not fitting for the fish. Then but it is not fitting, and river it is big, even increasing its size, and when at the last moment he was going to throw the fish again in the ocean, the fish feared that don't throw me into the ocean, all the dangerous creatures will eat me up. So then the fish showed its real form.
Yeah, the real form, and the fish said that, at the end
that
of the...
in 7 days the pralaya would start.
That's right.
It's the
and then
devastation of world.
Yeah, the devastation, and then
That
ultimately,
time I will send a boat. In that boat you keep all the living entities, animals, birds, everything, plants, everything.
Wonderful, yes. And then the fish, what's the snake here that the fish pulls the boat with?
Vasuki.
Vasuki again. That's the same snake, Vasuki. So I'm glad you are narrating this with me. And as you said here in this, according to this verse in the chapter, one who narrates this description of Matsya incarnation and the king Satyavrata will certainly have all his ambitions fulfilled, and he will undoubtedly return home back to Godhead. So Riyansh, well done. You've actually helped me along with this little bit of mention of Matsya incarnation, and may your ambitions get fulfilled as well, and all blessings from Lord Krishna. So we are instructed to read about, hear, narrate all these pastimes, all these different incarnations we mentioned in this canto. We are encouraged to hear and narrate these as well. And then we'll also obey. So Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, and Canto 8 ki jai, and Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, and all glories to assembled devotees. Thank you very much. Whoa, that was long. I didn't know. Nabi, sorry about that, if it's a bit longer.
No, you did well to
Thank
cover it all. Well done. Very good effort. Very good effort.
Right. So
Thank
if
you.
anybody has any comments, but thank you to Riyansh, who really made it interesting as well. And he's very keen and enthusiastic as always. And may he remain like that. Thank you, Nabi. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. So let's stop.